It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to his tonic and gin. Hey, it's Nate, and today I am doing Piano Man by Billy Joel. What a classic. I've gotten countless requests for it, and I think I've procrastinated long enough. I'm going to teach all the parts, including the more advanced stuff like the jazzy intro and the piano solo as he plays it. I'll even give you the scale and some tips for how to improvise your own solo rather than copying what he plays. But the trickiest parts are optional. The real core of this song, the verses and the choruses, is just this really elegant chord progression that's relatively easy and super satisfying to play. Let's jump in. Okay, so first off, I recommend you get the chords and lyrics chart. There's a link down in the description, and that's going to help you follow along and see where the chords and lyrics line up with each other. And following along with that chart is extra important with the song. It's a long song. There are 8 verses, and each of those verses ends one of 3 ways. It's not as effective for me to try to talk through the structure and have you remember it all. You're going to have to use that chart to cue you while you play. So going in order, the song starts with what I'm going to call the pre-intro. That's the part that sounds like this. And of course, this part is totally optional. If this is too advanced for you or just not what you came here for, you can skip ahead to the intro. But underlying it are these chords that the left hand does. We've got a D minor 7. That's going to be D, F, A, and C. And then we've got a D diminished 7. For that, just these 2 notes are going to come down. So we've got the D and F again, and then a G sharp and a B. This is middle C right here, by the way, just so you're playing in the right octave. But here are the notes for the right hand, just for this first chord here. And you're just going to feel this out. We're not really in time yet. It's just kind of loose, but fast. And I'll talk through the rhythm a little bit, but it's mostly just kind of as fast as you can go. But we've got a G sharp. I'm going to do that with my second finger. So hit the left hand first and then G sharp A. So you can cross your thumb under right away. And then we're just coming up an A minor 7 chord, just skipping all the way up to G. So G sharp, A, C, E, G. And then from there, we're actually just doing a chromatic scale down to C. So that means we're hitting every single key on the way there. We're going to end up on our 5th finger on G, and then I like doing 3, 2, 1. And then you can just do 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, like that. Whatever feels best for you. So again, that's now here's the next line. We've got that D diminished 7, and we've got a couple of these bursts of A sharp, B, C. Really like fast as you can do it, but I'm using my second finger on the A sharp, B, C, A sharp, B, C, and then just A sharp, B. So it doesn't go to the C the third time. And it maybe stays on that B a little bit longer than the other notes. Okay, and then we've got G, and that first G is just kind of its own note, and then we've got G, G sharp, A, and that's just a burst. Do, 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 stepping down to the G again. I like putting my second finger down on that G so that my first finger is ready to go down to the D, and then that is the start of a quick burst of D, D sharp, E, finally G. So from the first G in the middle of that, da, 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 da. Again, that whole line. Let me do the whole pre-intro part on the slow side. Okay, and a little bit faster, it's going to sound like this. And then the intro, the song itself with the iconic chord progression begins. So let's look at that. Here's the chords, and once you learn this, you're going to know a lot of the song because all the verses and the chorus as well essentially use this chord progression with just some slight changes. So we're going to start on C, and that is going to be a root position C, C, E, G in the right hand. That's middle C, and then my left hand is on bass C here with the first finger. And let's just say right off the bat, once the intro starts, we have locked into the beat of the song. We're in 3/4 time, so each of these measures gets 3 counts, and you're just going to want to be feeling that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we can just get in that main rhythm right away here, where the left hand plays on beat 1, and the right hand plays on beats 2 and 3. So you might want to just practice that on that main C chord. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's going to be the feel. Okay, so we've got C, then G over B. So that is going to be a G chord in the right hand. It's an inversion. We got B, D, and G here. The left hand has stepped down to the second finger on B. It's a slash chord, so the slash B, B is the bass note. Next we've got F over A. Now that's a really easy transition. Everything is just stepping down with all white keys with the same shape. So I'm coming down to the A because it's slash A here on my left hand. And now we've got an A, C, and F. So it's an inversion of an F chord. So far we've got C, G over B, F over A. Now we've got C over G. So the left hand, of course, just notice, and this is going to continue, that the left hand bass notes are just stepping down. We're now all the way to G, and for this C over G, it's going to look like that. G, C, and E, so it's that C chord from earlier, but this time inverted. I like using 1, 2, and 4 for the fingers on G, C, and E, just because that flows so nicely with that F inversion from before. And then in fact, the chord progression goes back to F. This time, it's just F, so the bass note itself is F rather than that F over A. Notice how we pivoted between F over A, C over G, F. The right hand just went boom, 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 back and forth. And in fact, for this C over E, same thing again. We're just going back and forth between these two shapes. So C over E here, and then finally coming down to this D7. So all the way down to D here, F sharp, A, C, and D. And now we're gonna come up to G. And it's gonna be that inversion of it again, B, D, and G. Quick note about the left hand fingers. Like I said, it's just stepping down. This line is it stepping down every single white key all the way to D before hopping up to G. Now, in a perfect world, you would cross your thumb under after the B to step all the way down like that. I found though, because if you look at the next line, it steps down again but only goes to the F. So that time you would want to only use the 5 fingers like that with no crossing. And I found if I was doing the cross here, I would keep messing up when I wasn't supposed to cross. So instead, what I like to do is just always go down all 5 fingers, and then in the times when you have to go all the way to D, just quickly jump your hand to do 4, 5 like that. If you want to add the crosses in, you can, but it was tripping me up. So here's that first line. Let's quickly do that next line, which you already basically know. It starts the same way, except for once you get to this F, instead of continuing down, you step back up to G and keep the right hand the same, F over G. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That would of course be leading into the, which I will teach you in a second, but just a couple more details to talk about with these first 2 lines. What I taught you here is the core chord progression that happens throughout the song, but there is a little detail in just the intro, in only the intro on the first F in that first line. He actually does an F major 7, so it would sound like this. So you got an E on top there instead of the F. Just a subtle little detail I wanted to point out. And I also want to mention, you can do this walk up from the G. 1, 2, 3. To finger that, you're going to want to hop to your 4th finger and step up like that, but that's just 1, 2, 3. I like throwing that in. Okay, should we do the last part of the intro? We'll call this the piano hook. This is that awesome part. So here are the underlying chords. It's a measure of C, a measure of F over C, a measure of G over C, back to F over C. Got the asterisks there because that's where the cool walk down is. And it's 4 measures, happens twice. Same exact thing repeated twice. But let's look at the actual notes and counts. So here's all of that information for you. Now we're going to need to think in 8th notes here because a lot of the playing is twice as fast as the pulse of the song, the 1, 2, 3. Notice the ands between all the numbers. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Let's look at the left hand first. So the left hand is mostly just hitting on counts 1 of every measure. So I've had my first finger here on bass C. For this part, I'm going to move my hand up to have my 5th finger on the bass C, and we're doing 5ths at first, just C and G like that. 1, 2, 3. And now we're just stepping up the top note. So the bottom note is C for this whole line. So C and G, 2, 3, A and C, or C and A, 2, 3, C and B, 2, 3, and then on each count of this last measure, we just step the top note down. A, G, F. I like to use my 2nd finger for the F. So again, that's C and G, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's easy enough. Okay, so the right hand, we've got a C major chord here. You could totally do just the C and E. I think that sounds just as good. But I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 there. 1. And now, starting on beat 2, we're going to play on every 8th note. And it's kind of convenient. We just go up that chord we just voiced, C, E, G, and then a high C. Now, you don't have to hit all those notes at once and stretch. You can kind of pivot your hand if you don't have quite as much reach. 1, 2, and 3, and. Now that rhythmic pattern overall, it's the same thing for the next couple of measures, but the notes change a little bit. Now we've got C and F, and I'm just gonna move my 2nd finger up to the F here. And now you kind of do the same thing, but it's just up and down. Same rhythm though, C, F, C, F. So we're using, for the fast pattern, we're using the notes in the chord we strike on beat 1. C, E, G, straight up, then C and F, up and back down to the F. And then this one is going to be really the exact same, except for with a G. I'm going to use my 3rd finger, but again, you're going to hit those together and then do up and down, ending on the G. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and. So this part, we're going to keep the C on top the whole time and do F, E, D. So I'm going to use my 2nd finger for the F, then 1st finger, 1st finger. Now, if you find that is just too much of a stretch, you could totally just do the bottom note and not harmonize with that high C. Sounds almost as good. So again, that last measure. And you got to be ready for it to repeat around and landing in that C chord again. Okay, so again, that whole line, actually I will repeat it twice because that's the whole part. Let me just play that whole intro one more time and then we can keep cruising. So that would be the first verse. Let's take a look at that. Here's the chords for that. It's essentially the same as the intro. Just note that the F in the first line is indeed that F instead of the F major 7. And then we've also got these 2 measures of C at the end. Note for those Cs, while they're not slash chords, they just have the regular bass C as the bass note in the left hand. It is going to be the inverted C chord in the right hand with the G, C, and E. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man. Okay, so let's talk about these D7s to G moments. Now, if you like, you can keep it just like you did it in the intro, where you just do the chord and the walk up if you want, but you don't even have to do that. If you are opting to do that and you want to make it even easier, rather than do this kind of tricky inversion of the D7, you could invert it up here and maybe even just do a regular D chord like that, just A, D, and F sharp. And that flows pretty easily to the G. Just if you're looking for an easy solution for while you're playing and singing these verses. But starting in this verse, I'm going to start doing the cool little decorations on each of those chords. So from here on out, it's going to be every time when you get to that D7, it's not really going to be a D7. It's going to be a little fill on a D major in root position. So D, F sharp, and A. But we hit with just these 2 notes. So like the sus2, the E there. And then we step to the middle note and then add the bottom note. The timing there is using 8th notes. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then same exact mechanics on the G chord. So come up to like a root position G chord up here, but do the same thing on the A, stepping into the middle note, adding the root. But that time, instead of 1, 2, and 3, it's just 1 and 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2, 3. To keep the energy going, you can still totally do the walk up in the left hand. 1 and 2, 3 on that G chord. And then just to keep the momentum going, the piano doesn't really do this, but there are other instruments and rhythms happening in the recording. So if it sounds lacking to you to just do, and you want a little bit more rhythm in the left hand, you could do 1, 2, and 3 like that, just on some octaves. I'll probably throw that in. So 1, 2, and 3, 1 and 2. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to his tonic and gin. So 2 measures of that lower inversion of C at the end of the verse. One more time, I'll sing through that whole first verse. 1, 2. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to his tonic and gin. Okay, cool. Now we've got the first of the instrumental sections. And another way you can think of these instrumentals is they're the harmonica breaks. Looks like this. It's just like the second line of the verse or the intro, where we're only going down to the F, then the F over G, and then we go to that lower C that we ended the verse with, 2 measures of that, but then we have 2 measures of F over C. And this is a common way that some of the instrumentals and some of the verses end. Instead of just doing the 2 measures of C, we have 2 measures of the F over C. Whenever this happens, you can hear it. It's this really expectant sound. It's like you feel like something's coming, and it is. Every time that happens in the song, I believe it's right before we have another verse where he goes up the octave and sings more intensely. Now, for my voice, I'm just going to stay down the octave. But to build into that even more, whenever that happens, I'll probably add the low octave of the C bass notes as well. So for that instrumental, we've got He said, son, can you play me a memory? Okay, so that's the second verse. Here's what that's gonna look like. Notice it is just like the first verse. The only difference is in that last measure, you see that little G over B. And sections end like this, with that little walk down G over B. When they're leading into the interlude section, that's gonna be the la 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 di di da, which I will get to in a second. But so for this, we're gonna do a measure of C, the lower C, 1, 2, 3. So the little dash there represents another beat of the C chord. 1, 2, and it's just on beat 3. We just have this little walk down. So the left hand can step down to a B bass note, and you can just collapse the hand, or rather step to 2 and 4 there. I think so. You're doing a root position G chord just in passing. That's going to be on the way to the A minor. And sometimes it's more fully voiced. You could also just do the walking down bass note. It happens a bunch of times in this song, and it's not the exact same every time. But let's just check in before we move on to this interlude, because I have now shown you the 3 different ways the main chord progression might end. Sometimes it just ends with 2 regular old measures of that lower inversion of C. Sometimes it does those 2 measures of C, and then it does the really expecting F over C if it's about to go into a dramatic verse with the high vocals. And sometimes it does a measure of C and then one with the walk down. And that is whenever it's going to lead into the interlude. So from here on out, I'm not going to talk about every single verse, but you'll be able to tell what's happening when you play through the song just looking at the chords and lyrics chart. Real quick, if you are enjoying this video, please take a second to subscribe to the channel. Also give this video a like. These things help YouTube show the video to more people. It helps my channel grow. I really appreciate it. Okay, back to the lesson. So let's do that interlude. Here are the chords for that. This is based around A minor here, this section. So A, C, and E there in the right hand. I'll probably use my first finger on an A bass note here, and we've got a measure of A minor. Now A minor over G. So we're just keeping the A minor the same in the right hand while we step down to a G bass note there. Now D7 over F sharp. This is the same D7, the kind of tricky voicing from the intro that I showed you. So F sharp, A, C, and D there. 1, 2, 3, and then F, 2, 3. And that happens twice. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now you can add some extra stuff on that F. 1, 2, 3, 1. So F, C, B, back down to A. There's also a little accordion, I think accordion that comes in there that does something like da 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 da. So if you want to add that in, you can do the bottom 2 notes of that F major chord in the right hand, 1 and 3, F and A. And then when you come up to that C bass note, you can do A and C, top 2 notes of that chord, and then just step down. So just kind of moving around in thirds in the right hand, so G and B. And then when you hit the A, so that would be the first measure after the repeat around, it would be A and C. So it's a little awkward there. It's the accordion part running into the piano part. So you can just hit kind of lightly on that one and then take back over with the piano pattern. Or of course, you could just keep this simple and just do an F chord like that. So the second line starts the same. Da da di da da dum. So this time though, it stays on the D7 over F sharp for 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But if you want to get a little bit more detailed to what you hear on the record, there's this little bass line. 1, 2, 3. Just F sharp, E, F sharp, and that's just on 1, 2, 3 on the second measure of the D7 over F sharp. So la da di da 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. Gets a little tricky with the rhythm between the hands. Okay, now we've got this really cool part that sounds like this, that's leading into the chorus. So we get to this G. This is the B, D, G inversion. And the left hand is just stepping down. Ultimately, it's stepping all the way down to C, with C being the start of the chorus. So same thing there for the G over F. Now we're going to start raising the middle note up each time. So the D becomes an E there, and this is just an E minor inversion. Now if you raise that up again to an F, it's really implying a G7 chord with a D in the bass. So again. Sing us a song. Okay, so that would be the chorus. Let's hear that whole interlude. La la la, diddy da. La la, diddy da. Da da. Sing us a song. So we're in the chorus. Here's the chords for the chorus. You already know it. It's literally the exact same as the first verse, so one of the ones that just ends with the 2 measures of C like that. But I'll play through it once. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you've got us feeling alright. Then we are in the next instrumental section, or the next harmonica break. Here's the chords for that. It starts out just like the first instrumental did, with that line that is typically the second line of the verses, where you just go down to the F, step up to F over G, but this time we're gonna do that whole piano hook. For reference, there are 4 of these instrumental harmonica break sections in the song. The first and the third are like the first one we did, where it ends with that, and then the second one and the fourth are gonna be like this one, where we have the piano hook. And you'll know what it is on the chords and lyrics chart, because if you're supposed to do the piano hook, it'll have the 2 asterisks there. So after that, we'll be in the third verse. It looks like that. It's one of the ones that ends with a. But I wanted to mention, because then we go into verse 4, which is one of the ones where he sings up the octave. That's going to be, he says, Bill, I believe this is killing me. This is a really intense one. There's a couple of verses that are extra intense in this song. And for those, this is the first instance of that. I'm going to use octaves in the left hand. Believe this is killing me. So here's the chords for that one. He says, Bill, I believe this is killing me. As the smile ran away from his face. Well, I'm sure that I could be a movie star if I could get out of this place. Oh, la. So this is one of the walking down G over B, because we're going to an interlude. La, 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 da, da, da. After that, we have another verse, then another instrumental. You'll be able to tell from the sheet. Then we have verse 6, which is going to be another one where I'm going to use the octaves, and the waitress is practicing politics, because that's another really dramatic one. And that is another one that does the step down to G over B, because we are once again going to the A minor interlude part, but this time over that chord progression is the piano solo. Here's the underlying chords for the solo. It's just like the other interlude sections, except for that first line repeats twice. You do that twice, and then proceed with the final line. If you don't want to play the piano solo, you can totally just do it like this in your version, or maybe you're playing in a band and you're just going to do the chords while a guitar player takes the solo. So you can totally do it that way. I'm going to finish talking through the structure of the song, and then at the end I will come back and teach you the full piano solo. After that solo, we go into another chorus, then we have some more instrumentals and verses and interludes. It's all the same stuff. You can just use the chords and lyrics chart to tell how each section ends. Then after the last chorus, we have the outro. It's going to look like this. This is super similar to the second and fourth instrumental harmonica solo sections. The only difference really is at the end of your second pass through the... You can do a little bit of a slowdown there, leading into that final C chord at the end. And he also does a little sort of flourish, just hitting the notes of the chords. But just notice I did a C major chord, root position here in the right hand, and I went down 2 octaves lower here, doing octaves in the left hand super low to get that power. And that is the end of the song. Okay, but if you want to do the piano solo, I will show you that now. Here is what the first line is going to look like. It's going to sound like this. So for the left hand, I am going to be doing A, G, D, and F. I'll give you some other options for how to arrange the left hand when we're done learning the right. But for right now, just get used to that. And at first, I'll just hold it for the whole measures. Got a lot of eighth notes here in the right hand. We start off A, C, D, E on just 1 and 2, and I'm using first, second, third, fourth finger there. And then we have another E immediately, but for that E, I'm gonna hop and put my thumb there. 1 and 2 and 3, and then we've got a G. Okay. Now, next measure is where we step down to G here. A, C, G, E. So there's a little gap in the rhythm from what we've had. 1 and 2 and 3. So far, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Okay. Now we're going to go to the D down here. That part's really cool. We have 1 and, gonna do F, F sharp, and then kind of stretch out to do these 2 octaves just on the counts, the 2, 3 on D. 1 and 2, 3. Okay, now we've got this kind of intense run here. We're playing on every single eighth note in this next measure. C, of course, this is where the left hand steps to F, but we've got C, G, F, C, A, C. So I'm going to kind of stretch out my hand. I'll do like 5th finger, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, cross over to the 2nd finger, and then right back to C on the 1st finger. So far we have... Okay. Here is the next line. And we are kind of still on that same run that we started here after we got back to C. We just are immediately kind of coming back up, still doing eighth note. So, but this measure starts, we're back at A in the left hand, and we've just done the 1st finger on C. So we can do 2nd finger on D, D sharp, and then cross thumb under there. So D, D sharp, E, G, C, and we end on that C on the 3rd count there. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay. Now this part's really cool. So on the 1st count there, when you step to the G in the left hand, A and C together, and then we're coming down on eighth notes. G, E, 2nd finger, 1st finger, and then I'm gonna cross my 4th finger for this D sharp. D sharp, D, C. Again for that measure. Because that flows really smoothly finger-wise into... We get a little break from the fast runs here. We've got an inverted D major chord, A, D, F sharp, on count 1 there, and then on count 2 you can just hit the A, on count 3 just the A and D. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to the F, and we can do an inverted F chord there, A, C, F, and it's a similar pattern here. Hit the full chord, just the A, and then the full chord this time. So just 1, 2, 3. So from the beginning of that line. All right, and here is the last line. So we're back up to A, and we're doing a really similar run on the way up here. We're doing A, C, D, D sharp, and then we'll cross our first finger to E. Every single eighth note. 1 and 2 and 3, and so we can hit this G. Maybe third finger actually will be good given where we're going. And then when we step down to G, we've got C, octaves there. Now we got a couple hits here. C is going to be on top each time, but now we have G sharp, A for the lower note, and then a G there. So far we've got. Okay. We're through all the hard stuff here. Now we've just got quarter notes here. Just F sharp, E, D. Now this is the point in the progression where it's on D again, or D over F sharp as we have done it in the interlude sections. But there's another measure of D here, and we're gonna hit on count 1 with our left hand, move the right hand down to that same inversion we did a second ago with the A, D, F sharp for like a D major chord, and then step down to a C on the third count. That 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do that whole line. You can see how that's kind of stepping its way into what we already know that happens at the end of the interludes with the. Which would be going into chorus. In terms of the left hand arrangement, you can keep it nice and simple, just holding down those 4 notes as I was showing you. On the recording, Billy is actually doing octaves there, and he goes up to the D. Not only that, but I think he plays on 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I found that pretty hard, but that would be most accurate to what he plays. Now, there is also the electric bass, which is doing this. So that is kind of, we get that D over F sharp sound that we've had all along, even though Billy is indeed doing the Ds. So you could totally do that. I'm not doing it because it's really hard and I just haven't practiced it enough. So what I am going to do is kind of combine the simplicity of what I showed you before with the energy of the more active one. So I'm just going to do quarter notes. So you can take your pick there, but let me play through that whole solo one more time. I'll do it on the slow side. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Okay, cool. The last thing I am going to add to this video is just the option to improvise that solo as he at one point did. It's probably easier than copying his solo note for note, and you might find it more fun. So basically what he's doing here is improvising on a A minor blues scale. And he's sort of going between the A, he's doing like an octave and a third above that of that A minor blues scale. So here are the notes for that. We've got A, C, D, D sharp. So you can do 1, 2, 3, 4 for that, and then cross under 1 for the E, and then G, A. That would be 1 octave of the scale, but of course you hear him reach up to that C a lot, so might as well practice it that way. Make sure you use your 4th finger on that D sharp. So you can practice that. So you could just mess around on that scale however you want the whole time. But the other thing he does is when he goes to the Ds, that scale continues to work, but he also just starts to use some chord tones. We have the D major chord there, so you can do some arpeggios on D. That's where we get the stuff he was doing. And then the other thing he does is sometimes, like on the F, he added that F in, even though it's not in a part of the scale, it is a part of the chord. So you could do just pretty much just riffing on that pentatonic, or the minor blues scale rather, for that. But then when you get to the D, you could do some arpeggios on that, maybe some arpeggios on the F, and just have fun with it. And you could go around as many times as you want. You could solo for like 5 minutes and just have a ton of fun. But anyway, that is everything for this video. Okay, thank you for watching. I am now going to do a full playthrough of the whole song so you can see how all the parts we've talked about fit together. I'm going to play the same piano solo he did, and I'm going to use just that simple left-hand bass line, but we discussed a whole bunch of other options. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click the bell so you know when I put out more videos like this one. Okay, here's my version of Piano Man.
It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to his tonic and gin. He says, son, can you play me a memory? I'm not really sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet, and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes. La 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 dee da, la la dee da da da. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you've got us feeling alright. Now John at the bar is a friend of mine. He gets me my drinks for free, and he's quick with a joke or to light up your smoke, but there's some place that he'd rather be. He says, Bill, I believe this is killing me, as a smile ran away from his face. Well, I'm sure that I could be a movie star if I could get out of this place. Oh, la 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 dee dee da, la la dee dee da da da. Now Paul is a real estate novelist who never had time for a wife, and he's talking with Davy, who's still in the Navy, and probably will be for life. And the waitress is practicing politics as the businessmen slowly get stoned. Yes, they're sharing a drink they call loneliness, pretty good crowd for a Saturday, and the manager gives me a smile, 'cause he knows that it's me they've been coming to see, to forget about life for a while. And the piano, it sounds like a carnival, and the microphone smells like a beer. And they sit at the bar and